I get into school spirits, what I loved about it, my love of firsts, and actually even like a cool metaphorical concept around when we're spiraling that I feel showed up in the show. I'd love to hear your comments. Let's get into it. Some people enjoy doing makeup. I enjoy the feeling of paint and different brushes on my skin. And a fave thing for me is binging cinema, TV, books, etc. So here I am, art for art's sake. Dive into musings around life, relationship, intimacy, aliveness, and enjoying the roller coaster that is this life. So come muse and play. You're here, I'm here, so let's go. To begin, I want to start with the fact that this is the first time I'm doing this here. I have done body painting, like circles and things like that in person because I love it and I think it's amazing and I think it's really fun to do on your own or as a couple, all right? And I love firsts. So I want to just be with that for a minute before I jump into school spirits and my binging experience with that. So I love firsts. I love being a part of firsts with people. So I hope you're going to enjoy being part of my first time doing this. So we'll see how it goes. All right. All kinds of different things can happen. Techie things can happen. And if you stay with me for the long haul, who knows what's going to happen as I keep doing this and traversing all of the things. So I'm going to go ahead and just start opening some paint. I haven't opened these paints yet, so I'm going to give myself the opportunity to do that while I start talking. Okay. So I want to preface this also with the fact that there's easily going to be spoilers, okay? So if you have not watched all three, I'm at 3 seasons, the 4th isn't out yet. It's been renewed for possibly early 2027. So if you haven't seen 3 seasons of it, then beware, there can be some spoilers. I don't want to try to make it so that I don't give spoilers just because I don't want to police what I'm saying per se. All right, so fun fact as we get started, I enjoyed this one. It kept my attention. So I binged the whole thing in 3 days. I binged 1 season every single day, so it took me 3 days. And through that, I want to tell you though, that doesn't change. Also, I'm going to interrupt myself. I have a mirror here so that I can see some of the things I'm doing, just to make sure I don't like poke myself in the eye or something, okay? Or draw over my lovely microphone. It kept my attention and it had me really, really intrigued. And I'm a super busy mom. I also run multiple businesses and do all of the things. So that's impressive. I can say I multitasked to a certain degree, meaning I would do things like fold laundry, or sometimes I could get away with doing dishes. When I had a knife in my hand, I'm like, should I be doing this, right? Because I'm also a body worker, cannot have anything happen to these hands. Okay, so there was little bits like that where I was able to multitask so I could get a lot of things done while I was still watching. However, I could not multitask to the degree of, for instance, I really enjoy coloring. So the same way I enjoy painting on my skin and feeling all of these sensations, I really enjoy coloring. And I like digital coloring as well. So I was not able to do that for most episodes. There was moments I got away with it for a little bit, but it is a show that you want to be able to watch. You want to not miss like certain glances. You want to catch nuance. You want to see the things. So I also found myself needing to do like 10-second rewind if I was multitasking something too much. So there is the intrigue, the preface of all of it. I really enjoyed this show. I have not read the graphic novels. So if you are somebody who has read the graphic novels and you then have an opinion, I'm happy to hear it in the comments, even if it's like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't like this at all, because, you know, we all have our thing, and it is something that has made me want to read the graphic novels. I do enjoy graphic novels, so that's also not outside my scope of interest. So, you know, we can entertain if I'm going to explore that, and then maybe I'll come back on here and do another video about school spirits, because I think I'll have books and things in here too. Now, I love to binge stuff, like I said, and I loved binging this so quickly. I'm very excited for the next season. All right, what am I missing? Okay, let's get into the actual content. So again, with me saying I am a mom, and so I want to say that it was really also fun for me because Peyton List and Milo Mannheim, he and she are both from things I've watched with my kids, right? So I've watched all of Jessie, I've watched Bunked, and then that's probably it. And then watching the zombies movies. So I really had a fun time seeing them in like older roles, kind of. I know, like Peyton, so Emma, she's a high schooler in things, but to see them matured as actress, it was really, really fun. So I also really liked the casting overall. I felt everybody did a phenomenal job. It was fun to see Jennifer Tilly. I am not like a super celeb, knowing everybody kind of person. I'm really liking this brush. It's a great size for this. But I do know some, and maybe as I do more of this, maybe I'll get more into it and start to recognize people more, be able to talk to that. Anywho, it was fun seeing Jennifer Tilly pop in. And let's see, what else did I want to say about that aspect of it? That's probably it. So here's what I loved. I loved that it makes you think. Any show that has concepts of life and death, I think, make you think. Any show that has concepts of spirits and ghosts and like where could we go and what happens to our body and all of that stuff is just so much fun to explore because it makes you think. It makes you think about your belief systems. It makes you think about structures. It makes you think about what's important in life, what's important to you now. And I thought that that was really great. I liked how it made me think. I didn't have personally a ton of ahas or whoa in that regard. But I mean, I've been around a long time and I've dived into a lot of that with myself and my spirituality and all of the aspects and things. So, it's also not very surprising that I didn't go somewhere super different with that. Yeah, it resonated. I can say that. It resonated. Let's see. It kept me engaged. I've kind of already talked about that. So it was really hard to be able to do any sort of multitasking that needed my visual attention, for like any duration of time. So it captured my attention and kept my attention. So I always love that in a show. Sometimes it's tricky, especially when I'm wanting to binge it, because it's like, oh, but I need to be able to get all this other stuff done, because I do. But it was great. It worked out for me this time. Let's see. There were moments of dread and moments that like I felt like a jump scare was gonna come or something like that. So it had some of that like scary factor, but I feel like a lot of that more comes from like that metaphysical. There was an aspect of that that kind of reminded me of watching Manifest, if you've ever seen that. I don't know if it's still around to be able to watch or not, but it was on Netflix, and it had a whole community of people who were like crazy about it. Okay, they needed more, wanted more. It was wild. But it kind of had senses of that where it was just like, okay, a little bit of that like spooky existential kind of components to it. So I love that because again, that kind of falls into the category of like making you think and tune into yourself. And we all know, well, you don't really know me well yet, but we all know that is what I am all about. It is like, what lights you up? What is your beliefs? Is that something that you want to morph or change or stick with, etc.? So I love that. It wasn't super cheesy, which I was grateful for. I was nervous that it was going to be cheesy. There are some fun little cheesy parts, but that's like life cheesy. You know, it's like when you're sitting there and you have like a cheesy moment with your friends or your partner or something, and it's like funny, fun, cheesy. It's not like you're sitting there watching it and you're just like, oh my God, this is so cheesy, right? So it wasn't like that. And I was really grateful that it wasn't like that. And it was quality to me. Again, this is all just my opinions. Feel free to disagree. So I really appreciated that. I liked how it spanned all the different, like, there's just different generations, you know, like people were from different generations and even like staying true to some of that, like, the one person, okay, there's spoilers. So, Janet, she, you know, isn't somebody who would know how to work like a cell phone. And like they stayed true to that because that stuff just adds to the story, makes sure that you're like sticking to the plot, you know? So it was cool to see like the different generations, the different stuff being portrayed too. So it had that timeline where there's like different timelines. So I really like that. At the end of season 3, I felt like maybe there's going to become some of that repetitiveness. So if you know like shows where they have they're predictable. Okay, so like there's something where the drama is kind of predictable or it follows the same type of something. That happens in a lot of shows, especially when there's multiple seasons of it, and that predictability can be nice. It just has to be something you have to be into it if you're going to stick with the show and keep enjoying it. And so at the end of season 3, I feel like there might be becoming some of this predictability. Whereas like the shift between like season 1 where you're sitting there and you're so curious about what happened, and then it shifts into like, this is what happened. And then now we experience the this is what happened in another way. And so it's just like, that's the part that's starting to see like, okay, maybe that's getting repetitive. We're going to see what happens with it. And again, since I haven't read the graphic novels, I'm curious how far the graphic novel goes with it. And yeah, I'm just curious about that. Okay. Woo, my face is looking crazy. Fun. Okay, so let's see. Let's add some blue to this. What do you think? Blue and orange are complementary. The pink is just fun. I've always loved pink and orange together. It reminds me of the 70s though, which is great. Okay. What else? Also with the decades thing, it seemed like there was aspects of like bringing in like different music and stuff. Okay, so now let's get into the, like, to me, what's a little bit juicier, self-reflection kind of stuff, okay? So I'm just loving this brush right now, you guys. I'm sticking with it. I liked the aspect, and so spoilers here, okay? Scars. I liked how when I was thinking of and looking at the scars, right? I just felt like that could bring up so much stuff. Like all of the show brings up just like human experience in general, and it's like that's amazing. I love the way this line feels. Anyway, so our human experience, right? And like it's bringing it from like that lens of like high school, as well as like, I mean, there's aspects with like the mom and what like that could feel like, but there's just all these different human experiences and aspects and feelings and sensations and what it's life, right? And that calls on our emotional selves and like connects us to the story and the characters. And it's so fun. But the scars, something that came up for me while I was watching this, I think it was on day 2, so second season, and I was having moments in my own life where I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm spiraling, okay? And for me, I was spiraling on like scarcity, okay? And scarcity like begets scarcity. It's wild. So in there, I was like seeing how, okay, like this was having scarcity in my life, this was having scarcity in my life. So it's like time, for instance, time and money both were like showing up. It's like, okay, you're in like scarcity of this energetically. So if you're not tuned into energetics, I talk about energetics all the time. So, okay, decide if you want to stay or not. But the energetics of everything. So being in the energetics of scarcity and how it feeds on other areas. So it's like scarcity with money led into like scarcity of time with my kids. That could evoke a little bit of scarcity of love, but I'm not feeling scarcity of love. And so I was just like playing with this a lot. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I sit in this energy for too long, it just amplifies, right? And it becomes like torture. And so that's what I was feeling with the scars. I was feeling like, whoa, with how for them, in aspects, it was like they were reliving one event. However, if they stayed in it, it kind of would morph and change. And or different aspects showed up for different people. And so it was like really interesting to see that and see how that could be like our current state of spiraling. So it's not like we're reliving something. Could be that when we're spiraling, we're reliving something, right? Could be reliving a childhood wound, could be reliving a specific incidents. But when we think about something as simple as scarcity, it's broad as well. It's something where you're just in it and you're like spiraling in it and you're like stuck there, and it's like, how do you get through that, right? And so if we take the concepts, and so that's the thing, that's the fun part of this, is taking the concepts from the show and applying them to life and how it could benefit us. And it's like, okay, they need to keep moving, right? They have to be with the pain and not like, in some cases it was like run with it, but like be with it, face it, be there. And then they could leave, right? So there's aspects of where they had a hard time leaving and then like almost feeling frozen. And then the aspects of like, okay, I was able to just like run away. I was able to just walk away from this. And so if we want to apply that to something in our own life, it's like, are we overcomplicating it? Are we making it where we think we can't just walk away from this? And like, what is this doing to us? And are there things that we have to sit with and be with a little bit longer? Do we have to sit in that wound or in that pain for a little bit longer before we move out of it? And I think that applies a little bit too to even like getting like the doors, right? It's like, what do we all have to do to sit with and be with? I also thought that was really interesting. Like if they went through the door. I don't have a ton of solid thoughts on this one yet, so if you do, feel free to add it in the comments. But it was interesting how they could loop and get stuck in things as well there, but it was like the good things and like looping on that. And it just, that whole concept just made me think about harmony and, you know, just never wanting to like, just, I don't want to say never wanting because it's totally fine to like be in excess sometimes, but wanting harmony as like a big picture goal. So those are my thoughts. I loved it. I'd love to hear anything in the comments. It's totally fine if we don't agree. And I have loved every sensation of this. I love the different lines. I love even right now too, like I feel this like drying a little bit, which some people might not like that feeling. But I really enjoyed this brush today. I enjoyed how like the shape, the thickness, the width of it, and like the shape that it would make these lines. And I love this. It's face paint to play with and do this and color things in. So I hope you enjoyed your time with me, and that's just what this is all about, like enjoying and playing, musing about. So I hope you bring that to the rest of your day and just enjoy it.